I'm really glad to see you all being able to gather in a physical world, and I'm sending my greetings from online. Russian Federation have a great experience in blocking content. Actually, this year we will celebrate 10 years of legislations for blocking illegal or harmful content here in Russia for 10 years. So I would like to share some of our experience on this, and to block or not to block, that's your decision, actually. Why this question may be important to you? Why our experience may be important to you? Because for years, until this year, Russian Federation pretended to be Western kind of democracy. So everything what's happening in Russia, including content blocking and other stuff related to the internet regulation, is actually done by rule of law. Our current president, Mr. Putin, is a lawyer by education, so everything, including pressurizing opposition and censorship, is done by the rule of law. At the beginning, our written laws, bylaws, instructions, recommendations, they really look like instructions from democratic country. So maybe they may be used or even abused in your country. So how it started? A bit more than 10 years ago, the question of protecting of YAS have been raised in Russia. There was kind of media preparation. Maybe you are very kind of blue whales. The suicidal groups for children and suicidal quest for children have risen in media. Like society was prepared for need of protecting us on the internet. And actually no one can object these things. During discussions, a lot of questions was raised by some human rights protectors that may the system for protecting us be abused for other bad things. And we actually got assured that only 3 kinds of harmful information for children will be blocked ever. It's drug propaganda, it's suicide propaganda, and sexual abuse images. So wrongly usually called child pornography, but in Russia it's also called with some bureaucratic words. And actually, then the first law of content blocking have appeared in Russian Federation. How it should work? A designated state agency should find which information on the internet is harmful. On previous slide, I listed 3 kinds of information. So there will be 3 kinds of state agencies. The drug control agency decides harmful information on drugs. Roskomnadzor telecommunication regulators should decide which information propagates suicides among children, and I think Customer Protection Agency should decide something about child abuse images. So these agencies decide which information is harmful. They pass identification of the web pages of some resources to Roskomnadzor telecommunication regulator. Telecommunication regulators have to contact with owner of resource with this harmful information. And if such information is not removed by the owner, identification of resource is passed to network operators, licensed network operators. In Russia we have licensing, and this operator have to block it. If information is blocked and actually after that it's being removed, it might be get out of this blacklist. Actually, all this regulation was very bureaucratic, using very bureaucratic Russian words, and does not contain any algorithm of how to block information. So it's just legal. You are operator, we're ordering you to block, you have to do this. But nearly, again, if we're talking about children, from 10 years past, is it effective? Definitely no, because child suicide rates have not decreased at all. It's a bit increased for this time span of 10 years. Drug-related crimes actually amount of such crimes, especially committed by us, have been increased, seriously increased. I think one of the Russian jails are actually filled mostly by drug criminals. Child abuse images. By official statistic and messages published in February this year, even in child abuse images distribution crimes, there is an increase. Also, among harmful information, which have been added a bit later, so-called LGBT propaganda is also have to be blocked. It does not say it exactly, but actually LGBT-related sites are being blocked as harmful information for children. But later statistics shows that LGBT people perception by young people who were children 10 years ago and now they are young people is the best among other such cohorts. But when reports are being done, actually it's very, very positive from officials, because only in last year, about 25,000 resources with suicide propaganda have been blocked, among which more than 500,000 of other resources are being blocked by Roskomnadzor. So that was about beginning at children, but very, very fast, other kinds of resources, not just classes of harmful for children information, but kind of illegal information have been added to this possibility, to usage of this tool. Really very fast. Copyright infringement information have been added to possibility to be blocked. So even I think that Hollywood lobby have lobbied all this regulation related to content blocking. After that, it was really reasonable to block extremists and terrorists. And then a lot of information are being added to possibility to be blocked on Russian internet, online alcohol sales, gambling, and some more classes, including such exotic like poaching. But okay, as we've seen by official statistics, blocking for protecting children is not so effective. You know, Russia pretended to be Western democracy, so our government definitely have secondary agenda. And it is demonstrated because the first terrorist propaganda resources appeared to be main Russian opposition leaders, Garry Kasparov, former chess champion who was on immigration at that moment, and Alexei Navalny, a beginner politician at that moment in Russian Federation. And the first mechanisms which have been used for blocking content without special definition, without responsibility of operators, were really not effective against them. So they were still able to spread the information in some ways through social networks, through other things, by changing addresses, by some technical means. So the huge spiral of regulations started in Russia. First of all, obligation and responsibility of network operators. If operator must connect to information system of Roskomnadzor and download regularly lists of resources to being blocked. And if operator does not, there is civil punishment for them. Then for non-blocking and something like, so there is a huge development in this case. Then guys who wanted to block, use this content blocking system to block political opposition, suddenly realize that not every entity on the internet is licensed under laws of Russian Federation, so they do not have pressure points. And then they added a lot of subjects of regulations, like search agents are regulated and must delete such content. News feeds must use only officials. The special kind of information distribution intermediary have been added, so it's like licensed operator, but not licensed, quasi-licensed. VPN services have to filter and block such content. Messengers, more and more and more. So that's now internet is over-regulated, and mostly because of need to enforce content blocking. A special thing is so-called the auditor system. It's kind of evil Russian RIPE atlas because they're using the same TP-Links routers as was used by RIPE atlas version 3 probes. So operator must install it, connect to their networks, and this device is monitoring actually, do operator block these resources from the list or not? And especially, first of all, we do not have special how to block resources. So there is no algorithm, so operators is trying to block it on their own mind. But also how this system works, no one knows. So operators are actually even big operators, even small operators in regions, got a lot of fines for non-blocking of any of such resources. Any resource is one non-blocked resource, and you see we have more than 500,000 of such resources. So if such device decides that the operator has to block resource and not blocking operator can get a fine. Luckily for us, local courts, municipal courts usually resolves if operators submit a claim against fine, usually resolve if for the operators just issuing warning instead of fines. But we already have such monitoring system. Also, introduction of content blocking system introduced more waves of trolling and abuse, either by states, either by activists and hackers. The first response for harmful information for children was crafting of special trolling resources like 100 ways to commit suicide, including the ways like stop breathing or hit yourself on the wall. So you definitely can commit suicide, but it was blocked very officially by Roskomnadzor. Or there is a special resource like LGBT propaganda for boys and girls. It's really funny. So trolling of this kind. What was trolling by the state? The information about something illegal was considered illegal itself. Like Wikipedia pages on drugs are also might be considered as drug propaganda. So even Wikipedia in Russian does not have centralized control. Editors, Roskomnadzor were issuing warnings about blockings of such pages, and editors have been changed their pages slightly, just well to be sure that it's not propaganda. Another interesting things related to abuse of technical control systems, the technical abuse of blocked resources. For example, if an URL with domain name have been passed to operator, operator have to resolve and block some IP addresses just not to be fined. And hackers were adding numbers and numbers of IP addresses to the same domain name, and it was overfilling systems which operators are used, constructed themselves at the beginning for blocking of such content. Also, kind of businesses have been organized, like state-related people were organizing companies which are producing right or licensed or Roskomnadzor recommended equipment. Actually, it's usually Linux boxes, well, with standards tools, nothing special can be done, but, well, they might be recommended by Roskomnadzor. Another abuse of non-public part of the resource list to be blocked, again, the resource list is being kept by regulator. And for public, by civil society organizations, made available only those parts which is offloaded to operators, which operators have to be blocked. So operators made it available for civil society organizations, which make statistics and public this and something like. But there is a still hidden part, and one of the main abusages was like Roskomnadzor decides that information have to be blocked, but they do not contact owner of resource or contact wrong owner of this resource, like for satirical site Lurkmorkto, top-level domain Tonga have been contacted, which did not understand what the Russians want from that. So they make a contact to wrong owner, then waits times which needed to appeal of decision of a government, and then only upload to operators. And when the resource owner, it might be satirical resource or maybe independent local media, for example, sees that they are being blocked by operators, they're trying to appeal, but appeal times already have passed. So that's really, really difficult stuff. What I also, if a resource really wants to stay unblocked, it starts fighting with changing addresses, changing domain name, changing IP address, and something like. The most prominent is a Telegram, who fought with Roskomnadzor for 2 years, actually, which led to massive blockings of Amazon and huge platforms. And actually, Roskomnadzor lost this. After 2 years, they decided that Telegram should not be blocked. But Telegram was blocked under terrorist propaganda stuff. So it was added, and it wasn't propagating terrorism exactly, but as an information distribution intermediary, it was added to regulation. It have not reported properly to FSB with decryption keys or something like, and therefore they were added to the blocking list as a terrorist, kind of terrorist supporter. Is blocking effective in technical means? Yes, as I mentioned, real abuser can easily move to other resource. I know many of you are also parts of RIPE community, and I remember, I actually failed to find this presentation, but I remember that at one of the RIPE meeting at Anti-Abuse Working Group, there was presenting a guy who was fighting against counterfeit shops selling shoes and well-branded sportswear. And he was reporting how fast and how effectively such shops reappear after being shut down. So in this case, also collateral damage. During Telegram war, a lot of resources which were hosting at the Amazon blogs, which was with the whole prefix, added to be blocked with the whole IP prefixes like /14 or /16, they are also damaged. Also, introduction of need to be blocked, to perform blockings at failure points and at slots to your network. I would like to mention presentation which was made at ENOC conference 2017 about challenges to deep packet inspection, which is done for blocking actually on your routers. And I think author of this presentation, Artem Gavrichenkov, is in your audience. Artem, wave a hand if you are there. But at least I've seen he's trying to travel there. So again, Telegram war shown, well, real dishonor of this. Technical community tries to resist to what was happening. Because in Russia, there is a possibility to discuss laws and normative acts, but the states, the State Duma, State Parliament, and regulator and Ministry of Telecommunication, they just ignored our opinion. What's the situation in Czech Republic? I've consulted to one of members of your program committee, Sergei Misaedov, thanks to him, and he said that only two types of resources have to be blocked in Czech Republic. It's gambling resources and illegal drug sales. Lists for these resources are open, and I've checked it, they are relatively short. There is still no common list for all resources. There are few recommendations, unlike in Russia, and still there is no enforcement and control methods and responsibility of operators. I maybe missed something, but you are really, really at the beginning of what was happening in Russia, and things can go really wrong. Actually, no one knows yet is it effective or not. And upcoming situation in European Union with Digital Services Act requires some more blocking, like extremist content and maybe, well, Russian propaganda. Let's see, because I do not see any developments yet, and I will be interested in listening to what's going on in your countries, like in Slovakia, for example. That's all can I fit, I think, in 20 minutes to be in short, but Russia has still more and more repressive regulations like bulk wiretapping under the name of lawful intercept, a lot of subject regulations, a lot of obligatory requirements, and also sovereign internet, which introduce control of number and name resources, which introduce state-run middle boxes for content blocking, which do not actually work. That's, sovereign internet was introduced with promise for operators to remove obligation of blocking content themselves, but these middle boxes are not running well. Operators still to have use. Also, Russia uses internet regulations together with other repressive regulations like fake news, medical abuse about COVID, and on and on and on. And now all this system, which started from protecting children, is used for full-scale wartime censorship. Mm-hmm. So thank you very much. I think in fight for freedom, for internet freedom, we need to work together. I hope at the last presentation of this session, this will be told a bit more. By the way, from Russia, I cannot access list without VPN list of drug abuse resources of Czech Republic, so it's already a bit of splinternet. So thank you very much. Please contact me at Free Moscow University, where we're trying to educate people things which are no longer available in official Russian education. So questions?
Sasha, thank you for your work and thank you for amazing presentation. And it always starts with children, but where it ends, if you take a look at China and why China internet is so slow, the answer is it's because it develops according to the quotas on the performance of Golden Shield. So essentially, it's not user-based development, it's censorship-based development. So speed of the internet is limited by censorship capabilities, which is awful, and this is where it ends. Please don't start this road, Russia right in the middle of it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your comment. Yes, I have not mentioned until about 2010, and this legislation took in force about 2012. Russian internet was a bit free and was developed as in Europe and United States, and until very last time, until 2018, I think, Russian internet by number of operators, hosters, was the second biggest after United States. But then Brazil and other developing countries start overtaking Russia.
Yes, and we have got a last online question. If you can use Starlink by Elon Musk to bypass Russian censorship?
No, Starlink by Elon Musk, first of all, complies to international regulation. International regulation regulates frequencies from satellites to land using ITU regulation. So even if you look at Starlink maps, it also shows coverage a bit out of state borders, just not to be blamed. Also, Russia is now under US sanctions. So that's a second reason why we can't use a Starlink, at least officially.
Okay, thank you very much, Alexander.
Thank you. Bye.